beep, beep, beep. Should I take some voice lessons? Should I take lots of voice lessons for my singing style? How should I take some singing lessons for my singing voice style? Oh, yeah. What is up? What is going on? It's the middle of the week. Oh, yeah. What's up, Internet? How y'all doing today? What's up, everybody? What's going on? It is Wednesday out here in my neck of the woods. I don't know where you're at. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what's going on. But, you know, we got that rustic Wednesday feel going on here today. Rustic. Feeling a little bit rustic, a little bit, rough around the edges. But that's not too bad. Don't mind if I do on a Wednesday. Let's see. Who's first to the chat today? Bentley Pascal, Big D, Smoke, James Lyser, Largemouth Bass, Sopaloco, E55. Nice. I see Rumbust. Oh, Rumbust with a super chat. What's up, my guy? Thank you very much. 54 Punchy is here moderating, so watch yourselves there, kiddos. I see Sunwise in the chat, who is new to the Patreon, by the way. Hey, what's up, Sunwise? Thank you very much. Appreciate your support. Appreciate all you guys' support. Legitimately, I do. Because we got more things in the works coming up, as per the title here today. What does it say? Sneak peek, because we're breaking down the 240. We are breaking down the 240, you guys, and we'll get into that in just a second while I finish saying some salutations. I see It's Nature Man. Chad Krotz. Did I already say hi to Chad Krotz? Yeah, I think so. Bob S. is here. Joel G. from New Zealand. Phil Emerson, a.k.a. Soapbox Debris. What's up? Fish Tube is here. Aqua Stress saying what's up. Jay's Aquatics. Where did it go? The Bearded Fish Keeper. What's up, my man? Long time no see. How you doing? Fancy Tail Aquatics. Fish Tube. I'll say that again. Smeel Kapoor. Evan Bombay. What's up? Good to see you, and I'm completely, the chat's going too fast now. I see Moist Pets, not, okay, yeah. Moist Pets, that's just funny. I love that. So many people will be triggered by me saying moist. Does that word freak you out? I know it freaks out a lot of people. I don't know why. Bob S. says, my BGKF has stopped scratching himself, and his behavior is now normal. I don't know what got into him. The only thing I did was remove a load of floating hornwort, which increased the light. I'm unsure what a BGKF is off the top of my head during the show. Not sure. But that's good to hear. Stop scratching. It's normally good. Normally a good sign, if anything like that. We're just warming up the show here, getting ready, watching the people come in, and we'll get to the video here in just a second. Bomb boy. Oh, yeah. All right. Bomb boy, not Bombay. Okay, got it. Sorry. It's hard to read everybody's names super fast, and, I screw it up constantly, legitimately. In just a legitimate fashion, I just totally screw it up. Who did I miss? I missed somebody. It was one of the mods. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Oh, this chat is screwing with me today, boy. Boy, my reading skills is terrible today. It's Miss Mellow Moogle. There she is. Ah, yes, Mellow Moogle. Good to see you. All the way from Portland. Portland, not Maine. Portland, Oregon. As weird people say Oregon. They say Oregon. FishTube says, it was me you lost as a member because YouTube double charged me, then refunded me, and now I'm not a member. Oh, no. Oh, no. Sorry to hear that. I don't know. I think it's kind of a new system with the new membership, or the membership thing. Speaking of new membership, we got Lee Coldfoot, brand new member, if you guys are wondering what the member thing is, there's a join button, and I'm pointing my hands at, I don't know where it is. It's somewhere. There's a join button. I'm sure somebody will post a link to it if you guys want to help support that way. That way you don't have to leave YouTube, right? You could just be like, oh, here's my once a month $5, and you can support if you like. We do have some big projects coming. Today, I kind of drove past a potential spot for one of the big things that I'm diligently trying to squeeze into my schedule, and that is what has kind of been dubbed a sort of a maker space. It doesn't really have a name yet. You know, I think if I name it anything, I'm probably going to name it with my business name because I own the rights to that. So it'll probably be Dark Star Aquariums or Dark Star Aquatics or Dark Star Arts. I don't know. It'll be something like that. It's going to be a sort of a maker space, and kind of looking at, I found a possibility which might work out pretty well with some really flexible space. So that might be a thing. I put a call in to the owner that does that, and we shall see how that works out. It might be shady. It might not be. It might be cool. It might not be. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So that's the current update on the possibility of the makerspace. And I can't give credit where credit is due here. Somebody sent me a message, and I read it, and I completely forgot who it was, but they said, you might want to call it the scaper space, instead of a maker space. And I'm like, that is a clever little twist. That is a clever little twist on what it could be. But, it's good stuff, right? Johan is wondering, how am I doing after the tragedy with the tank/car? Good. That is... So I did post up on Patreon. If you guys don't know what Patreon is, it's another way you can support certain things like this scaper space and all this kind of stuff that we're trying to do. I posted up on there, and then I think I posted on the community tab. Was drilling some tanks for Corey yesterday. We're working on a project up at a Aquarium co-op. And, turns out the tanks that were said to be not tempered glass, turns out they are tempered glass. So, yeah, just got a kablooey on that panel, which is funny because tempered glass normally explodes really fast. I was about like halfway through drilling the hole is when it popped. So I found that to be a little bit odd, but is it like halfway tempered glass or something? I don't know. I wish I knew really what was going on there. I don't manufacture tanks, we build systems and stuff like that. And, I'm a hobbyist / with air quotes professional, right? I do what I can when I'm able to do it, and so we went to go drill the tanks. I've drilled lots and lots of glass tanks in my day, and it was weird because I got about halfway through, and that's when it popped, which I found that's odd. I've never had that happen before. Normally they explode right away if they're tempered glass, And to full disclosure, we didn't do any of the look to see if it was tempered ahead of time because we had on good authority from the supplier basically that like, oh yeah, this isn't tempered glass, so don't worry about that. It's not a big deal. You guys should be able to drill it. And we're like, okay, Ricardo Santiago, who's a member, he's got that green name, says, I don't have easy green or iron yet until I finish my bottles of Seachem products, but was wondering when dosing after water change, do I dose at all at once or one per day micro macro? Macro. I think, in my experience, and the systems that I work on, I try to dose on a daily basis. That is more beneficial. But I will remind anybody out there that it is extremely difficult to remember to dose every single day, constantly, day in and day out. You might be good at it for a while. You might stay on the ball with it. It's not like brushing your teeth, Like brushing your teeth. I brush my teeth like 3 times a day. It's pretty easy to remember to brush your teeth because it's like, oh, I got up, I'm going to go wash up, take a shower, brush my teeth, do all that stuff. And then, you could at least do it twice a day because you're like, oh, I'm getting ready to go to bed. I'll go brush my teeth, right? So it's pretty easy to remember, but dosing fertilizers in your aquarium, especially when the aquarium is especially when it's doing well. Like if the tank is doing really well, I don't think anybody's super encouraged to I'm going to go put some fertilizer in there. This stupid computer keeps notifying me that I'm running out of disk drive space in one of my drives, but please stop telling me that. I know. So, I recommend if you could get some kind of auto doser. They're pretty simple to set up if that's what you're going to do. But I personally only dose every so it's every other day basically. And then weekends, sometimes I forget on the weekends and stuff like that. I am not super anal about it anymore. But little incremental fertilizations is better than just dumping a ton in there and being like, here you go, Yahtzee, bros. It is much better to do small doses over the entire week. And I guess an easy way to explain that would be, so the systems that I work on up at Aquarium Co-op that hold all those plants. So, I'll get in there, I'll test typically before the lights turn on or right before the lights turn on to see where everything is at. And then I'll test when the lights turn off by the end of the day to see what's going on. And I'm spacing out the dosing there. It actually doses 3 times a day on that specific, or sorry, not 3 times a day, 2 times a day. I think eventually it will be 3 times a day, but just these little doses that are going to be going in instead of it being just here's a big dump of fertilizer, have fun, because we do want to have that availability all day, all night, all that kind of stuff, and not overwhelm the system. But yeah, I mean, optimistically, if you could do 3 times a day, that's perfect. But most people we don't have I don't even have the access to those dosers and those systems and stuff like that. It's a lot. It's a lot of money for me personally if I was going to set it up. But there are those little dosers now that are only $50 or something like that, and you can program them. They're pretty good. So I think it's something that anybody out there could probably put together at this point in time. But I never have here because I just have so many things going on that it's just kind of crazy. Let's see. Hopefully I answered that question. I feel like I rambled on there for a little while, but yeah, I would definitely recommend, though, getting Easy Green and Easy Iron as opposed to the Seachem stuff, mainly because it simplifies the the fertilization way, 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 way easier. Seachem does sell a couple of Equilibrium and a couple other things that are really helpful. I mean, if you want to go with the Seachem line, you can. It just gets super confusing. For most people that you have 8 bottles of stuff and you're trying to math everything and do all that kind of crazy stuff. It just gets to be a little bit nutty. And, I am confident with the Easy Green that you can run that Easy Green and Easy Iron and just some CO2 in your system. And you can grow pretty much, probably, remember there are millions of types of plants. I would say probably 95% of them with really not that big an issue, in a realistic manner. I would say that that's probably where that stuff's at. Let me see here. So my phone's blowing up. Uh-oh. What is this? Oh, somebody's on the front porch. It's the mailman. You guys, the mailman was on the porch. That's normally a good sign. Probably dropping off $1 billion nothing, doing that kind of thing. Let's see here. Let me catch up with the chat. I think it's about time to... Yeah, 15 minutes in. Let's go to the video and talk about the 240 and what's going on with the 240. Of course, we didn't start the video where it's supposed to start. Okay, thanks, computer. That's pretty good. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Get a little nice and shaky right here at the beginning. That's pretty good. Let me make myself really small here for a minute. Because, who's that lurking in the bushes there? We got a little buster there lurking in the bushes. I just want to give you guys right at the beginning of the video here a little tip and a trick of how to move your puffer fish. If you ever have to move your puffer fish, just remember you don't want to net them out. You don't want to net them because it is just way too much stress for them. And they will typically puff up and with air though, if you pull them out in a net. So always remember to scoop your puffers out with some kind of thing. And that box there, that acrylic box that I just scooped them out with is it's literally something I made in. I think I gave myself 10 minutes to build an aquarium at one point in time, and so that thing is super janky, but it holds water. It looks terrible, but it holds water, and I use it for all sorts of nonsense. I typically use it for catching my snails, and I'll put my snails in there, and then feed them for the puffers and stuff. That's what I normally use it for, but it works pretty good considering I made it in about 10 minutes, and it looks ugly. Let's see. Any tips on sourcing tubing for a water change system? The Python hose is way better than Home Depot stock. I want to set up siphons to drain all the tanks at once. I would look on Amazon, dependent on the size, and I think the Python hose is whoa. This computer just went crazy. I think it's 5/8. Hold on, let me see if I can find it here. 5/8. I think it's 5/8 inner, right? I think that's right. Let me see if I can't find it here. Here it is. Here's the link for it. So when you're looking for vinyl tubing, you will notice in this link right here that it states something, that it's PVC, food grade, vinyl, plastic tubing. The real key that you're looking for when you're trying to find some good, nice vinyl tubing is that it actually is food grade. That's going to be that little caveat, that little hanging chad or whatever that you're looking for when you're trying to find some good, some decent vinyl tubing. So hopefully that helps you out. You can find the size. That's 100 feet for $36.82. Is that the best price in the world? I don't know, but I feel like that's way cheaper than Home Depot probably, and it's a better tube. But that's what you're looking for, the food grade stuff, and then you'll be able to come up with some good things. My weekend life is wondering if I need anything from the store. I always need stuff from the store. Probably like some kind of medication or something. I feel terrible today, guys. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know. I just do not feel well. Not Nola Jane is saying, I think I need a net. This one's a little holy. Yeah, that's an old net. It still catches fish though. It still catches bristlenose plecos. So, that's the deal. You catch them bristlenose plecos and then move them over to a tank. So I've been slowly but surely, as you guys can see in the 240 here, I've been slowly but surely moving things out of the 240, really kind of trashing the display slowly but surely, getting things out of there, moving things around, and catching fish, moving fish out, getting things out, because there is going to be a lot, and I mean a lot, of hardscape work going into this to get this thing rocking and rolling where I want it to be. And, one of the big reasons for that is that, I've got a lot of my tanks kind of to the point where I'm like, I like them, and then, I take that grim comparison with the 240 and go, I'm not liking the direction that it's headed. As you guys know, one of the projects I was doing with the 240, with the 240, was to just kind of really work on building an ecosystem that was gonna do no water changes. But the reality with it is that I think I just run it. I run it too close to the razor's edge to really honestly build a system and not. I don't. I don't nitpick the things that are going on with it and constantly mess around with the tank. That it would really be a benefit continuing moving forward to be all right, let me keep trying to do this with no water changes. When the reality is that I could just do a water change once a month and there you go. That'd be fine. I do have a plan someday to, hopefully be running systems that don't require an introduction of other water or something that would at least, not have to utilize water out of the drinking water system, I guess. So maybe someday I'm going to do some rain collection or something like that I might do my water changes from. But I just think realistically right now, I think just continuing to try and do this 240 with no water changes is more stress than I really need, and it's potentially a little more stressful for all the critters and stuff in there. And I think I'm just going to get out of the game on trying to not do a water change. Because I do realize I'm doing more work than just doing a water change, Colby's asking, what kind of planted soil do you use? And if you cap it, what do you use, sand or gravel? I do not use... If you're asking if I do a Wallstad method with potting soil or anything like that, I do not do that. It is not a good idea. Realistically, if it's a big enough pain for me to try and run a no water change system, it's probably I don't know, 10 times more of a pain to try and run a Wallstad method tank with, potting soil and a cap and all that kind of stuff, and then continue to run into the problems that can easily crop up with a tank that's a dirted tank like that and doesn't have and you're not really following the Wallstad method setup. As soon as you start adding filtration and CO2 and a bunch of other stuff into the aquarium, those aquariums are designed to be, were designed to be filtered by just the plant mass. The mass of plants that are in there is supposed to be 100% of the filtration. That's the plan with those. And most everybody deviates because you're going to start adding things. You're going to add fertilizer. You're going to mess around with stuff. I'm going to put more lights on it. I'm going to take lights off. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And it's just human nature to not follow that and just leave it the way that it's supposed to be. But that's why I typically don't recommend people to do that. If you really are somebody that's hyper patient and just all about following instruction and doing exactly what needs to be done on a regular basis, then maybe it is for you. Maybe you buy that book and you follow the instructions in it and you follow it to a T and you just do that. It might be a good deal for you, but for me, it really isn't, because I'm always messing with things, trying to change stuff, build new plumbing, move water around different ways, try to eliminate things, try to add things, try to do stuff. And, most of the professional substrates that are out there now are really accessible. It would be weird if I just went out and bought all of the substrate for this 240, you know what I mean? And go oh man, it costs $300. I'd be all freaking out. But I slowly over a 3 or 4 month period ordered Fluval Stratum. So I'd order a couple of bags of that at a time, for $68. And I'd be okay, but that's my little substrate purchase for this month. You know, I've been collecting some extra plants and things and some extra hardscape stuff like some driftwood and some rocks and things like that. You know, if I went out and just bought all of the stuff right out the gate, it'd be like, man, this is just crazy expensive. Like, this is a crazy expensive hobby. So I slowly but surely accumulate the stuff, for instance, to even do the rescape on this 240. So now I have 10 full-size bags of not only Fluval stratum, but I have some Brightwell Aquatics. I've got some ADA Amazonia, and I'm going to be utilizing all of those. So, you know, I think I have like 8 bags of Fluval stratum, or maybe like 6 bags. I don't know. I have a total of 10 of the big bags. You know, I saved them all up. I basically just ordered a couple at a time and just stacked them out in my shop until I'm like, oh, I've got enough now. Now I'll be able to start breaking this tank down. And the same thing with this tank. I'm not going to break it all down in one day. I'm slowly moving the stuff to other, you know, the other habitats. You guys can see I'm literally, you know, catching the bristlenose plecos and rehoming them. I'm, you know, catching the puffers. I got the tanks ready to move the puffers over. And, you know, the puffers have been moved over. Some of the bristlenose have been moved over, but I'm going to keep the adults in this system here. So they're going to actually move down into the sump. So when I go to rescape this whole setup, you know, when I actually do drain it, scoop everything out, and start building the hardscape in there and all that. Like a lot of hardscape pieces I'm going to build over time, over the next probably like week and a half or something like that. And, you know, I'm going to get this thing empty, but everything is going to be moved out. You know, I'm even going to have to go to the point where I'm going to actually have to bait and catch a bunch of snails, because there are a lot of snails in here. Like, I've got excess plants that are going to have to be like trimmed down. They're starting to grow hair algae on them and things like that, because they're kind of free floating and getting way too close to the lights and stuff like that. You know, I'm having to move all the driftwood out, that kind of stuff. And if I just went ahead and just pulled everything all out, it's just this giant monumental project that just probably would never really get done, because, you know, I definitely would encounter, you know, these 100-pound, 200-pound bins full of rock and substrate and driftwood and all that kind of stuff. And then I'd have plants and buckets over here and plants over there and fish over here, and things just get lost in the shuffle. It just definitely happens. So today's thing was actually to, you know, capture a couple of fish. Not from that video. That's actually from a couple of days ago, whatever. But today's main thing was to get all of the rest of the driftwood out of here. So I got all the rest of the driftwood out. A couple of the rocks and stuff, and then I'm going to be pulling all the dragonstone out next. And you know, I do have plans to start cutting up that dragonstone, because I'm actually going to start cutting those down and building the driftwood into the actual rocks themselves. So I had planned on doing that a long time ago. It didn't work out well, and I got some new advice and a different tool that I'll be able to use. So I'm going to be doing it that way, but it should be pretty fun. The Fish Tank Barn says, bait your snails with the ONIP tabs. It's great snail bait. I agree. It's also great bristlenose bait. I don't know if you guys know this, but bristlenose plecos love the Sarah ONIP tabs. They really do. They really love those ONIP tabs. So, yeah, if you got bristlenose, get some ONIP tabs, because they love them. And they breed like crazy from after eating them. So that's pretty good. Have you ever used formula to estimate your CO2 from DKH and pH? If so, have you found its accuracy to be? It's pretty accurate. Yeah, I've done it. And I do it on a regular basis. It's pretty accurate. Give you a good idea of what's going on. But I also find that just monitoring the pH is actually pretty much enough to figure out once the CO2 is added, pretty much what you got going on. You know, if your CO2 goes from 7.4, drops down to 6.8, you're like, okay, the CO2 is working. It's working fine. You know, Big D Smoke says, I usually get the notifications while I'm watching. Yep. You know, YouTube doesn't want people to be doing long format live streams. That's just really what it boils down to. It's they just don't want people to be doing long format live streams, so they don't really send out notifications, and that's just kind of how it is. So, you know, we're just playing in the space here. You know what I mean? Like we on YouTube because that's the spot, and we're just playing in the space. I like to do the long format shows, and whether or not YouTube likes that, it's not really my problem. Water bottle with the Chirish is here. What's up? It says water bottle with the top cut off and inverted makes a great snail trap with an ONIP tab. I agree. And it works fantastically. Works good for shrimp too. Shrimps are idiots and they'll swim right in there also. So it's a good time to like bait the snail trap and the shrimp trap. So you can catch a lot of shrimps and snails the same way because they're both equally kind of dumb. You know. Ricardo says, how big does the bristlenose get? I want to get a few for the 29 and 10. 150 gallon isn't set up yet. Bristlenose are, I wouldn't say that they're the smallest of the placos. The biggest one I've ever seen was like 8 or 9 inches, and that was like a massive grandpa bristlenose. I saw that down in where was I? I was at the wet spot in Portland, like probably, I don't know, 3 years ago or something like that. And it was like about yay big, biggest bristlenose I've ever seen. I don't know. They might get a little bit bigger than that, but they are, they stay really small. They stay really small. They will do fine in a 29. I probably wouldn't put them in a 10. 10's like kind of a little bit too small for them. But a 29, there's probably plenty of space. For them to be in a 29. These, all these little bristlenose plecos I'm catching here were born and raised in this tank. The parents are way smarter than these little guys, the children, the offspring. The parents are way smarter, and they swim away from the net, and they run off and hide. And they're like, oh, man, that guy's going to do something to us. He's going to scoop us up with that net and put us in another cool tank. Yeah, which is the reality. I'm like, dude, I got you this dope tank all set up, and it's super snazzy. But yeah, bristlenose are great for a little for smaller size tanks. I would say like a 20 long is probably the smallest I would go for them. But I don't know. Could be whatever. Yeah, Mellow Moogle says rocks and wood from the Aquarium Co-op. Yep, that's where I get my rocks. That's where I get my wood. Seriously, get those the little driftwood packs. Where's that? I'm gonna figure out where that is. Hold on, let me find the actual link for it. But where's there's a button in here somewhere. Wood and rocks. Well, go figure. It's the one that says wood and rocks. Oh, here it is. There's the title. Spiderwood Nano Twigs. That's the one that you want to get because Corey will legitimately sell out of these. I know that he was talking about it on one of his shows the other day that he will legitimately sell out of these from the projection on whatever his magical computer stylings projection sheet. He's going to run out, so I would get over there and get one before they run out because the bag of the little spiderwood twigs, like some of them are like this long. They're like reasonably foot long, maybe a little bit longer, something like that, maybe a little bit shorter. But it's all the little twigs and stuff that you can make cool stuff out of, and that's my jam at this point. Gluing that together. Gluing it to rocks and all that kind of stuff, and I dig it, and it's definitely the way to go. Oh, man, so Aquarium Co-op says the nano sticks, our suppliers say the co-op effect hit them so hard they will no longer make them. All right, so I guess you better 100% buy them because he's not even going to be able to get any more of them. Coffee's pretty good today. Do you think pond snails can outcompete Corydoras fry for Repashy? Feed 3 times a day along with Walter worms. I don't think so. I don't think that the pond snails would really. I mean, they will. The pond snails will eat. They will reproduce. You could potentially run into a problem, but sounds like if you're feeding three times a day, you know, the Cory fry are moving around and finding stuff a lot faster than the snails are and whatnot. But you could run into an issue. I guess realistically, you could run into an issue if the pond snails start reproducing like crazy. But I wouldn't be that concerned about it personally. I wouldn't. You know, I mean, you're feeding 3 times a day. It really ain't that much more you could do at that point. I guess you could take pond snails out and feed them to somebody's puffer. You know, it's like free puffer food, right? Ricardo Santiago. Wait, what happened? Alyssa says, depends on the species. Medusas can get to 10-inch. Claros can get to 2.5-inch. Normal bristlenose get to about 5-6 inch. Yeah, I mean, the bristlenose don't get that big, that's for sure. Any experience with Leopoldi angelfish? Very, very minimum. You know, I've been around them, but I've never like kept them or bred them or anything like that. I've been around them, but angelfish have always been like way too aggressive for my tanks. And, you know, if anybody has ever seen angelfish like get into breeding mode and stuff like that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They get pretty darn aggro, and as far as my tanks go, they just have never really fit with what I like to run. So I couldn't give you too much advice on them. You know, clean water and all that. Let's see. The internet disagrees on size and feistiness. I would like to put a group in a 30 long. I think, you know, realistically, I would say rule of what you're doing. You could have a pair in like a 30-gallon. That's it. You could have like a pair of angelfish. And that's just, I'm just saying broad spectrum. You know, you could have like a pair of angelfish in a 30-gallon. There's just, you know, if you have a bunch of males and females and stuff like that, like they'll just grow, they'll get bigger. There's not enough swimming space for them. You do have to remember that they come from really murky, fast-flowing, crazy, frantic water. So, you know, they do have a lot of aggression and things like that. And, you know, if they start breeding and getting into that breeding mode, like if they pair off and start laying eggs and stuff, they can just start hammering every other fish in the tank. So, yeah, I mean, you could do a pair in a 30, but I certainly wouldn't put them in with another flashy fish, especially like rams and stuff like that. I just wouldn't. And if I had a 30-gallon, I probably would just not bother with angelfish until I got something a little bit bigger so that you could house them long term, you know. Let's see. Oh, this toothpick is the worst. HDJC says, what methods do you use to secure driftwood tune each other? Oh, to each other. Or from floating. Attach them to rocks, man. Rocks or sheets of acrylic, like chunks of acrylic, stuff like that. Acrylic totally sinks and will hold most driftwood. I have some how to make driftwood stuff videos, and I'll be making some new ones too, because I'm actually making some new driftwood rock things. And I did a behind the scenes on one of the 120s just a little while ago also, so that one's actually kind of fairly new. I actually used some pond foam in that one, and it works out pretty well. But I use super glue, and I should have some here. But it's the gel type. I use the DAP gel type. That's the one that I like. That works pretty well. Kevin's here, says, hey, Joel, are more than normal amount of aerial roots a sign of lack of nutrients? Not necessarily. I wouldn't say that it's 100% lack of nutrients. Typically, a lot of plants that grow, once they've grown up tall, they'll throw down aerial roots because, you know, you start to think about it, the further your plant grows up tall, the further it's getting from its mouth, basically, like where it's taking in its food, with air quotes, its nutrients and stuff, it's getting further and further away. And the part that really needs nutrients is the top of the plant where it's growing new. It's growing new plant going up. That's where it really needs the nutrients. So it just starts sending out roots because it's more utilitarian to be like, oh, if I could get nutrient from the water column, I can get it from right here. And then boom, not a big problem. It's like it can grow from right there, and it's getting closer and closer to the light, which means it's getting more energy being in a higher light situation. So it's more motivated to be like, oh man, let's keep going, So it's definitely not slowing down. Mr. Stewart's asking the Aquarium Co-op if there's a show tonight, and he says yes. Take a second to like the video. Tell YouTube you want this content. That's right. You can tell YouTube you want this content. You can hit the join button. You can go to Patreon and let me know. I think Patreon is slowly but surely becoming a funner and funner little community over there. And as I said earlier, I can't even tell you guys. I can't really express how much I appreciate how much everybody's been willing to support over on Patreon with, going to conventions and all that kind of stuff. And, I get that. I get that my thing has kind of changed because I'm onto this makerspace thing because I'm literally onto the makerspace where I'm at. I honestly think it's something that like nobody else is really doing. And I think it's a thing that it could work out really well, or it could just be a flop. You know what I mean? And sometimes that's life. Sometimes you try to do something and it just flops. But I forget who was asking earlier about the car and the tank, and I did talk to you guys about the tank. That was that. And it just popped into my head. Like sometimes you fail. Well, you guys know I drive a super old truck. It's a perfect example of like, I'll spend money on a new camera, but there's no way you could convince me to really spend money on a new new vehicle. I try to save money wherever I can, and my old truck was having a problem. And I personally thought that the 4-wheel drive was stuck on because I was getting a little bit of a hum on the freeway from the left hand or the driver front. And I was like, man, what is going on here? So I got a thing scheduled. Of course, I talked to the guy that repaired it. I went in there, and the guy that repaired it, he was like, what's going on here? And I'm like, well, it's either the 4x4, and I do realize that, or it's the wheel hub. Of course, they went in there this morning and tore it off, realized that the wheel hub was bad, so they expressed one over, got it replaced, and happy to say that I'm in a position at this point with, I'm working enough. We have enough stuff going on that, that wasn't the biggest. It wasn't the end of the world. I could just put it on the credit card and I'll pay it off here in a week or two. I'm appreciative of that, and I know not everybody out there is in the position that I'm in, and so I just want to say how grateful I am. To all that, and it's like, to try and tie that all together, it wasn't an insane stress out that I had to take my truck into the shop and just get that thing, just get that hub taken off and put a new one on. And I can't afford to drive a truck that's making a weird noise. Kathy says she drives a 98 Ford. I also drive a 98 Ford. My truck is turning 21 this year. I think my truck's a legal adult now. I'm pretty sure. Whoa. Let's see what's going on here. Jay's Aquatics has 25 angels and a 75. Oops. But he says they're still babies, so it's okay. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people You know, you get small angelfish, and you can fit them into like a 75 or something like that. Especially if you're raising up the young, you can house them in a smaller tank. But you know, I put with angelfish, any other kind of fish, 100%. You definitely want to be onto, you know, you definitely want to be setting up a system that is going to be the forever system. I just, you know, I'm always worried about people that. You know, I'm always worried about people that, you know, they're like, oh, I'll get that set up later. You know, I'll get a bigger tank for this fish once it gets big enough. You know, it's really easy to get behind, you know, it's really easy to get behind on something or not enough money, you know, to get the new thing, you know, to get a new tank. You know what I mean? It's like, it's really easy to get in a spot where you can't supply it. So I feel like before you get it, it's just so much of a better idea to get it set up ahead of time, you know. So hopefully the angelfish that you're rearing up are going to be, you know, you're going to be like selling those off or something, because that's way too many for a 75 long term. My stupid computer keeps telling me about this drive that is running out of space. Like, dude, I get it. Stop telling me that the drive is full. I know. How full is it? Let me see here. Dude. Where is it? So there. Oh. That is super full. There's 4 kilobytes free out of 465 gigs. Okay. I get it. It's super full. Let me move this. Hold on. This thing is just driving me nuts. It's driving me nuts. How do I... Well, oh, I have to go to... that's right. Now you have to go to this so that you can go move to... where's that drive at? Where's that drive at? All right, fine. Choose location. Thanks. Seagate Drive. Move there. Let me move this thing over so it can just stop giving me the notification. It's cool to have like a good computer that works really well, because it's not going to explode right now while it moves files while we're still live streaming. And I believe I'm broadcasting in 4K. It just won't... YouTube won't let me have a 4K signal going on YouTube. You know what I mean? Wow, that's a lot of emojis. What up? All right, let me see here. There's sweetheart. I got a 2009 Cadillac and a 2001 Cadillac. All right. Sounds pretty good. Owned my car for 15 years as of May. I don't blame you for that. Genus Jasper says, nice catch of the pufferfish. Yeah, that's the thing. I was mentioning that earlier in the show, is that if you do have pufferfish and you are going to move them from tank to tank, you do not want to net them out with a net. You want to net them out with some kind of cup or a small container or something like that that you can get them to grow in, that you can get them to swim into, and then whoop, bring them out like that. You don't want to just rip them out with a net. It's a bad idea. They normally will just... They'll puff up, but they'll inhale a bunch of air, and it's just not a good deal for them at all. Super stressful. Mateo says, my scape has been the same for 2 years. Columbia Tetras keep breeding, and the Bolivian Rams still seem frisky. I'll keep it for at least one more week. That's pretty good. That's just funny. Thanks, Gillett. Gillette. Is it Gillette or Gillett? I don't know. I always say Gillett, and I think he's Gillette. All right. Don't see a ton of questions in the chat. We got any super chats today? One from Kim Yawarski. Thank you. And Rumbust with the 1793 Swedish Krone style. Thanks, bro. Mass appreciate it. And no new members, so, you know, that's life. Just moved 3 of the pufferfish. I was nervous, but I used a container and they were fine. Yeah, actually, you know, if you move the pufferfish in a container like that, they'll actually be pretty cool with it. It won't bother them all that much. I wonder if I'm in the way of the video. Let's see if we can watch my netting skills with my holier than thou net. Boop-a-boop-a-boo. All right. I don't know. I feel like, is that today's show? I feel like that's today's show. Are we at that point? I don't know. I've kind of wound down. Boop, 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 boop. I've kind of wound down, and there doesn't seem to be a ton of questions. Maybe I could scroll like way up here. Al Janeco had the zombie virus last week, and it lasted 9 days. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of winding down, and it feels like the end of the show. Got a $1 super chat from Largemouth Bass. Mellow Moogle has posted the Facebook group. Nice. Do I have a video about the Tiger Lotus? I don't think I have a video up about the Tiger Lotus, so couldn't really give you a recommendation to go look at one because I don't think that I have one up on that. I feel like Tiger Lotus is just kind of uniquely easy in the fact that you kind of just stuff it in the substrate and eventually you will get Tiger Lotus pretty much. Colby is asking, you think my Royal Pleco would get territorial if I add a school of Cories? They're in a 55 with plenty of hiding spots. I don't think so. I wouldn't imagine it. And if it was, it would probably just be slight little tiff. You know what I mean? Like nothing too crazy. Bleh. Oh man, I left the audio on the other computer. Somebody's messaging me and it's making messaging sounds. Oh, here we go. We have received a voice clip. Gillette. Okay.
I would point out, I say Gillette. My dad says Gillot. And if you go 2 generations up to when they were French, they would have said Hey.
Well, okay, now we know how to say it. Oh, hold on, I already forgot. Let's listen again.
It's Gillette.
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 Gillette. Gillette.
Gillette.
Gillette.
Gillette. Gillette.
I point out, I say Gillette. My dad says Gillot. And if you
It won't stop. It won't stop. Okay, there we go. Gillette. All right, we've got it. Maybe. Gillette. All right. We had to phone a friend there. Got a voice clip. Ricardo Santiago, my Java fern leaf with little leaflets. Should I cut it and plant or let them fall off of it itself? Realistically, I would let them fall off themselves and collect them. But if they're at that point where you can just like brush them off, then it's cool to do it. But I don't think I don't really like. I wouldn't recommend cutting the leaves. Okay, there we go. Trying to get my brain together. I wouldn't like cut the leaves or anything to get them off, but I typically wait until they kind of like brush off, and then I collect them all up and actually just put them in a little container. I actually just put them in a little container in the sump. So you know what I mean? Like pretty simple, but I just normally just wait for them to bust loose, and it seems to be the best. I've kind of like ripped them off in the past, and they didn't like grow all that well. How long will quarantine tanks beneficial bacteria live without fish in the tank? All quarantine tanks should be broken down and sanitized and dry after you're done using them. So it should be after what you break them down and sanitize them and dry them out, there should be no bacteria in there. That's the reality. They should be cleaned and they should be cleaned and sanitized and put away for the next time that you have to quarantine fish. Because as soon as it's not a quarantine tank and you got fish in it and you're trying to maintain a filter in it and all that kind of stuff, just take the filter media out, sanitize that too. And then once it's sanitized and cleaned and dry, you can actually add it into one of your other tanks so that you can recycle that the biomedia. So get it all out and then get it get it cleaned and dry. It has to be cleaned and dry. Otherwise, the next thing you know, there's some plants floating in it, and then there's a couple pieces of driftwood floating in it, and then there's a couple pieces of rocks, and then there's some extra fish. So that's how you end up with like 30 tanks before you know it. It's really easy. It's really easy. Genus Jasper says, do you find any other possible locations for the makerspace? Yes, I actually was talking about that earlier. Pretty excited. I found somebody down here locally that actually rents out a ton of those spaces. So I put in a call, and hopefully I'll be able to go look at a couple on Friday and see if they're usable. I was looking at them online, and it's like, that might actually be a thing, because they it's pretty much designed like it's a big campus, I guess. A campus is kind of a weird word. It's sort of like, it looks like a big giant storage unit area or something like that. Like, kind of, let me, hold on a second. Okay, it's like a giant warehouse with a bunch of units in it. There we go. So there might be a space available there that might actually work out for the maker / scaper space, whatever we're kind of calling it. So a little exciting. We'll see how it goes. This, I have no, I'm going to be real honest and open with you guys about like what can or can't be done. And like, I'm currently at the point right now that, if I had, and this is just realistic, and it's definitely no cut on anybody's contribution or anything like that. If I had unlimited money, the damn thing would already be up and running. But we don't. You guys don't. I don't. Nobody does. Okay? So, we're working on trying to keep this budget so that this budget makes sense. You know what I'm saying? It's not one of those things where I'm going to be like, oh, we need $20,000 a month, or anything crazy like that. I want to make sure that it's affordable and it's something that I can do. I have my baby here. I've got Vicky here. I've got obligations that I have to do, so I can't just like jump into a crazy idea and, screw everything up that I got going on right now. So, we'll see how it goes. I'm trying to find something that fits within the budget and doesn't really change too much. You know what I mean? So one of the places I looked at was just going to be too expensive. It just was like, nope, can't do that. That's going to be too expensive and with like potential hidden costs. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm still looking for something that is going to be, budget-wise low enough that it's like, maybe I can give this a shot, see if it works. If it's working and it's something that is cool, then maybe later on expand into a different spot or something like that. I don't know, but it has to if it's something I'm going to get involved in, it has to make sense on paper right now, right? Not like, oh, in the future it'll be cool because I'll win the lottery or something. You know what I mean? Like, I can't just go into something, you know what I mean, like that. Kevin's wondering, how many inches of Fluval stratum should you shoot for when setting up a display-worthy tank? 2 to 3 inches, nothing crazy. But 2 to 3 inches is enough space generally for most roots on all things and stuff to pretty readily work. I'm liking the Fluval stratum, and one of the reasons for it, some people have criticisms for the Fluval stratum versus the Amazonia, versus the Brightwell and a couple other planted tank substrates out there, is that it's the Fluval stratum's a little milder. It's a little, I'm not going to say it's decaf, it's more like half calf versus full strength craziness. So it does make it a little more manageable, and it seems to me that the cation capacity seems to work a little. It's more the long game. It's more of the long game versus the others. The others seem to be dropping a lot more ammonia and buffering the water down all crazy, so that you do get this real jump start if you're using those other brands. And whereas I feel like the in my experience, the Stratum seems to be more of a long game that the tank holds up longer in a better way. Gina says, that sounds promising and logical. Take your time, and we'll look forward to it. Yeah, it's really like, it's, you know, as far as that, the maker space, scaper space, whatever you want to call it, I'm just going to have to take my time. I really just have to take my time, not jump into anything too crazy. You know, I got a birthday coming up next week, so I got to think about that. That's going to be rough. I got to, like, go to dinner and stuff. So that's a thing that's going on right now, too. You know, staying busy. I didn't even shave today. I got this rustic look. I don't know. Kind of tired. Not feeling that great. And I got a birthday coming up, which means I got to have smiles on and, you know, not be depressed. That's the reality, right? Let's see. Big D Smoke says, yep, my first quarantine quickly turned into a regular tank. Yeah, you got to get that thing empty. Shelby Ray says, PewDiePie has the bucks. I bet you he does. I don't know how much money he has, but I'm sure it's a lot. Shelby Ray says, Jeff Bezos has the money. He has $160 billion. Figure he would want to support a show like this, but Jeff Bezos would probably not want to support a show like this because he built the Amazon spheres filled with aquariums and growing plants and all that kind of stuff. If you haven't seen the Amazon spheres, look that up online. They're these giant spherical atrium buildings in downtown Seattle. It's not like he built them out of town. He built them, they're pretty much downtown. You know, goes to show you. But none of you all could go there and work on your fish tank. But you can take tours of it. I think the AGA is going to be able to host a tour of it. If you guys are coming, if anybody's coming out for the AGA, you'll be able to take a tour on at the Amazon spheres. Kevin's wondering who are some of my favorite fish YouTubers to watch. I don't really watch that many fish YouTubers. I think like Serpa Design would be one of them. Tazawa Tanks would be one of them. I get notifications for Aquarium Co-op, and I normally listen in on his live stream, which is Wednesdays, which is tonight. Then Bentley Pascal, I watch his sometimes. I don't normally watch that many fish YouTubers, honestly. I've met a lot of them, and, you know, I guess the nice thing to say is, like, maybe that's not my taste. Right? That's probably, like, the nice political way to say it, you know? That's probably the political PC way to say it. Like, that's not my taste. I'd rather, like, go eat donuts or something. Or ice cream. Bentley says, it is a very small tour, I think. I'm not going to let others have a spot. Oh, Bentley's not going. He's going to let others from around the country go. Yeah. I don't know how much there is actually... I'm not sure how much there is actually of like that tour of the Amazon spheres. I don't think there's like that many tanks there. I think there's only like 3 or 4 tanks there. Yeah. But yeah, as far as like a YouTuber that I would recommend that's like a fish YouTuber, I think like Serpa Design's one that I definitely am entertained by. John Dover's got to go. Yeah, me too. I got to go. I got to go take a nap. I'm not feeling great. It's going to be the end of my day. I think that's going to be the end of my day. I'm just going to give a big shout out to Lee Coldfoot for becoming a new member, Rumbust for your super chat, Kim Yawarski, Largemouth Bass, and Ricardo Santiago for your super chat. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go like be low energy and lay down and probably go do some work instead. because I got to get back to work on the studio downstairs. So probably get about an hour and a half of that before Vicky gets home. And yeah, I think that's what I'll do, and start some dinner. I got to start some dinner for Vicky too, because she's coming home, and get that rolling. So I'll talk to you all maybe on Friday. Hopefully. We shall see.